Has Shopify Payments closed your account? Well, today I'm going to talk to you about some alternatives to Shopify Payments to ensure your business is back up and running. My name is Maria Sparagas, and I work with thousands of 7 and 8 and 9-figure merchants figure out their payment processing to ensure that they convert the most sales possible. And today I'm going to talk to you about Shopify Payments alternatives. If Shopify Payments has just shut down your account, I understand this is a very frantic time, and I really feel for you because it can really, destroy a business having something like this happen. So I'm going to walk you through obviously what you're going to do in order to contact Shopify and try to resolve the issue if possible. And then I'm going to tell you a little bit about some alternatives and to ensure that you have backups in place so this never happens again to your business. If you've been shut down by Shopify Payments, I will tell you, you are not alone. This happens quite often. I hear about it all the time. Being in the payments industry for over 20 years, one of the common things that I hear is, Shopify Payments has shut me down. My business is now ruined. What can I do? How can I get back up and running? Obviously, it's a very difficult time because you put all your eggs in one basket, and that is the Shopify Payments basket. So the first thing to do is figure out why they shut you down. So oftentimes you'll just get a message on your portal that says your Shopify payments have been terminated and you are no longer able to accept payments. So obviously that's really shocking. Oftentimes what I see is a lot of business owners don't realize until they start getting a lot of failed payments that this happened. But there is usually an email that is sent by Shopify Payments explaining a little bit why they shut you down, or at least giving you some kind of information about your shutdown. So if you do see that message in your Shopify portal, go back to your email that you used for the admin for signing up for Shopify Payments and take a look to see if they gave you any positioning or any idea as to why they shut you down. So it's important to figure it out. Now, oftentimes, if you're in an industry that's considered high risk, for example, you're selling supplements, coaching, any type of digital product, you have a subscription-based business, CBD obviously is another big one, or anything that they would consider high risk, which is in their terms and conditions. And to be honest, about 80% of online businesses could probably fall into one of their high risk categories. So you're definitely not alone, but that's one thing that they rely on to shut merchants down. They'll say, oh, you're high risk and it doesn't fall within our risk appetite, so we prefer to shut you down. And often this happens if you've had a couple of disputes recently, or if you had an uptick in refunds, or a really big bump in sales volume. Anything that kind of strays from your normal routine and your normal pattern of your business will trigger some alarm bells in the algorithm in Shopify Payments, and it could have them take a look at your account and then obviously decide that it's not something that they want to support. So it is an unfortunate fact, and it happens all the time. This is, a reason a lot of people watch my channel, because I have also Stripe alternatives and so forth. And just to let you know, Shopify Payments is actually powered by Stripe. So whether you're working with Stripe or whether you're working with Shopify Payments, it's a very similar service because Shopify Payments is simply a white label of the Stripe service. So now, as I said, you go back to the email, you go into your portal, you try to figure out why they shut you down. A lot of times there's very little information, but like I said, you have to take a look at your business, and if anything kind of strayed from the norm, higher disputes, higher refunds, more volume, or shifts in volume, that could likely be the reason, because you tripped up their algorithm. Another reason that you may want to look at is perhaps Shopify looked at your account, your administrative settings, and they were missing some information. For example, maybe your address was incomplete, or you didn't provide any tax numbers, or phone numbers are not there, or your business address is in a different country from your residential address. That could cause some confusion. They may have some questions on that. So take a look also at your administrative settings, and take a look again at any emails that Shopify may have sent. Sometimes they send so many emails that it's difficult to keep track, and you may have missed one. But oftentimes, if there's an administrative issue on your account, for example, like I said, all the different information that could be missing, tax numbers and so forth, they may freeze your account or shut your account down if you do not respond. So take a look at your settings, take a look at, all the information that you've given Shopify Payments about your business, and make sure that it is complete. If there was something missing and now you've completed it, you can chat with somebody on their site, or, obviously you can send an an email to support to explain what happened and that you've made the changes and now that you should be compliant. And that's the best case scenario. But you have to remember that this is a warning. If you are relying solely on Shopify payments, this can happen at any time. So if you did get that warning where they may have missed an administrative setting or something, or you missed an email and they shut you down, this is a pretext of what can happen later on. So you still need to figure out some backups and some systems to ensure that you don't get caught by surprise by Shopify payments again. Now, if the closure is legitimate and it's either industry related or, like I said, one of the metrics of your disputes, chargebacks, refunds, kind of falling out of their risk appetite, what you want to do is try to buy yourself some time with Shopify. So it is important to try to contact Shopify Payments support and figure out the exact reason. And obviously, it's important to be very polite and leave feelings out of it and just try to be as factual as possible. Explain to them that your business is in jeopardy and you have no other way of accepting payments, and you're asking, for example, for an extension of I'd try 30 days if possible, but if they say no, then I'd cut it down to 10 and really work hard at getting an alternative. But you want to try to get a little bit more time than unfortunately what they've afforded you so far by closing you right away. And the least that you're going to do is you're going to try to find out exactly why they shut you down so you don't make that mistake again with the next partner or processor that you work with. So try to extract some information. As I said, keep it clean, leave emotions out of it, explain what your business model is clearly, and ask for an extension. So that's what you want to do with their online support. You can go and chat with them, or you can send them an email. Obviously, chatting is your best bet. It's very difficult to get somebody on the phone at Shopify Payments or at Shopify in general. So your best bet is really to do a text chat. Now, it's important to know you have to be juggling a lot of things and doing a couple of things at the same time. So as you're speaking with Shopify, it's also important to start looking at alternatives. The next thing you should do in order to try to get in contact with Shopify and, try to reverse their decision or try to ensure if they're holding your money that they're going to release some of your funds is to send them a physical letter. Yes, I'm actually talking about snail mail. I'm not talking about an email or anything digital. You want to write them a letter, print it out, sign it in wet ink, and you want to send it to them via tracked mail with a signature required at their office. So you can know that a person has actually received that letter and reviewed it. Now, right down here, you'll see the address where you can mail it to. Now, the addresses may change depending on when you're watching this video, but right now there's an address in New York for the risk department, and that's where you want to send your inquiry. What you want to cover in that letter is obviously you want to tell them who you are, your company name, your account ID. You want to give them your business address, very brief explanation as to what you're selling, and explain to them, that you're a legitimate business and that you would like to get your account back up and running. And if they are holding any of your funds, then you want to ask them to release some of those funds to make sure that your business can continue thriving and can continue paying its bills. So you want to have a summary of this. Now, I have some other videos on, what you can write in that letter. Now, I have some other videos that are a little bit more complete on the letter. Link them down below. Whether you're writing to Stripe, Shopify, PayPal, or whoever it is, it's pretty much the same thing that you want to do. So, have a look at that video if you really want to have more specifics on that letter. But you want to mail them that letter as quickly as possible and send it off to them, maybe overnight mail or whatever the case is, so you can try to get the conversation going. Now that you've contacted Shopify through chat, sent them a letter, at the same time, as I said, you have to start looking for alternatives, because odds are, unfortunately, I'm going to tell you is that Shopify will not reopen your account. So, the more time you waste hoping and wishing that they open, the more time that you're losing revenue and obviously putting your business at risk. So your biggest goal right now should really be finding an alternative to Shopify Payments. Now, Shopify doesn't really advertise this, but they are connected to a lot of payment gateways. So what you want to do is go into your settings and then payments and then add payment method, and you're going to see all the gateways listed. Now, one thing you have to keep in mind is that a gateway is simply a software that connects Shopify to a payment processor. So for example, authorize.net or NMI. These are payment gateways, and these payment gateways are connected to thousands of different payment processors. For example, you can get authorize.net and work with a company like mine, which is DirectPayNet, in order to get a merchant account for your payment processing. And that's how usually the payment processing industry works. You have, Shopify or whatever CRM shopping cart that you're using, and that is connected to a payment gateway, which is a software that encrypts customer data. And that software is then connected to a payment processor, and all these three systems talk together in order to process a transaction. So when you see Authorize.net and you see NMI, I mean, it's not necessarily you're contacting Authorize.net. You can call Direct PayNet, my company. You can call a whole bunch of other companies, and we can all plug into Authorize.net and get you set up really quickly through that gateway if that's the one that you wish to use. Now, the main difference between using, let's say, Shopify Payments or Stripe or one of these PSPs, that's what they're called. They're called payment service providers. Now, payment service providers work a little bit differently than, for example, a company like Direct PayNet, where we get you a merchant account. What happens is that with a PSP like Shopify Payments, you sign up to Shopify and then you just plug and play and you get started. The problem with that is exactly what you're experiencing right now is they don't do any checks, any verifications. They just let you get going. You could be running 1 to 6 months, a year, and so forth. And then all of a sudden, when something trips up their algorithm, or you get a couple of disputes, or volume really shoots up high one month or whatever, then they take a closer look at your account. They say, oh, we don't like that account. We're not supporting that type of business model. And then they just shut you down very quickly. So, there is an advantage to working with Shopify Payments, which is speed and tech and so forth is easy, but then you suffer the consequences of, if your business grows too fast or has anything that falls out of the norm, then they shut you down. So getting a merchant account works a little bit differently. What you do is you have to actually apply for a merchant account. The checks and verifications are done before you go live. And then once you go live, obviously things are a lot smoother because we know, for example, what type of business you have, your patterns of disputes, refunds, and so forth. And we can then kind of review this with you and give you any feedback before you continue with integration. So, it's a little bit different. And obviously getting a merchant account may not be as quick and easy as setting up Shopify Payments. But I will tell you that once you set up your own merchant account, you will have a lot less headaches in the long run because you don't have to worry as much. And also when you're working with a merchant account provider like Direct PayNet, you can call us, you can speak to a human being. You're not just, working with chat bots and sending support tickets and so forth. If we need to talk to you and you need to call us and discuss a certain situation, then obviously we're here to help you. So it is a very different type of service, and it's not for everyone to have a merchant account. I mean, if you're just getting started, trying to prove your business plan and so forth, you may want to continue with Shopify Payments or start with Shopify Payments. But as your business is scaling, as you probably know right now, because, you're watching this video and Shopify has probably shut you down, you need to work with somebody that you can speak to, that you can have an actual partnership with. So you need to get yourself a merchant account. Now, if Shopify shut you down and you have no options and you're looking for a merchant account, keep in mind a merchant account will take about 5 business days to set up for a high risk business. And if you're a lower risk business, then probably about 2 business days. So you're looking at, approximately a week delay before you can get your store up and running. So the important thing is to ensure that you continue running your business. What you can do is there are some small term fixes. For example, you may want to start invoicing clients or have bank transfers active, or you may want to try to work with another third-party PSP like Stripe or PayPal just for a couple of weeks until you get your business up and running again on a merchant account. Obviously, like I said, these are plug and play, so you can just sign up and start selling, but you have to be careful because if you sign up and you start sending a lot of sales volume there, what can happen is you can have the same problem with Shopify Payments very quickly. So you want to try to pace yourself as much as you can, try to delay payments, try to collect payments, for example, through invoicing, bank transfers, and so forth, until you get your merchant account up and running. Now, who is a merchant account best for? If you're doing $25,000 a month or more in sales, it is very important, I would say crucial, for you to get a merchant account instead of rely on payment processors like Shopify Payments and Stripe and PayPal, because you cannot have a point of failure like this in your business. You need to have, at least 2 options, for example, to make sure that you have a backup if something happens to the other. So now if Shopify Payments has shut you down, those are your main options. You want to have some alternative payment methods. You may want to have another PSP plugged in the meantime. And then you contact a company like Direct Direct Payment and we'll get you a merchant account. Now, a payment processor is not a one size fits all. So if you are looking for a payment processor, you really need to understand which payment processor will work with your business type. Not all payment processors work with every type of business. So for example, my company Direct Payment, we work with medium, high risk businesses, and we can support a lot of business models, for example, CBD and supplements and coaching and digital downloads and all that. We really work with a lot of industries that big players like Stripe and Shopify Payments shy away from and may not like those specific industries. You can also, if you have a different type of store, if you're working with a specific bank, you can contact your bank and try to see if they have an alternative for you for a merchant account. But keep in mind, your big banks, your Bank of Americas and Chase and so forth, they may be a little bit more risk averse, like Shopify Payments. So, you have to understand your business type. You have to go to a payment processor that works with your business type, and you have to explain what your business does. If you're operating a legal business, I can guarantee you there will be at least a couple of payment processors willing to work with your business. You just have to find the right ones, do a little bit of research and so forth. So it is important not to just, blanketly go out there and apply everywhere, because there is a credit check that's done every single time that you apply for a merchant account. So you want to work with somebody that has the capacity of working with your business type. And the one thing I want you to rest assured is, a lot of business owners call me and they're frantic at this time and they're worried about the tech, the integrations and so forth. I can guarantee you that you shouldn't worry about the tech. And, when you work with a reliable payment processor, then we'll figure out the tech for you. You just tell us what platform you're using, for example, Shopify, and we'll work our way backwards and find a solution that plugs right into it. For example, if you work with Shopify, we'll plug you into authorize.net, and you just need a username and password, an API key, and you're good to go. It really takes a couple of minutes to set up the tech side. So, although it's a frantic time and you're trying to juggle a lot of things, the tech side of things, I can tell you, is probably the thing that's the easiest to manage, because there actually isn't that much to do if you work with a platform that's integrated into Shopify, which many are already. It's just that Shopify Payments doesn't really like to advertise it because they want you to use Shopify Payments first. But then when they leave you high and dry, obviously you have to find alternatives. Now, if you want more information on how to set up a merchant account, how to set up backup systems, if you're working with Shopify Payments or Stripe and you want to make sure that your business doesn't get caught in the crossfire of these processors, feel free to drop me a line down below. Ask me any questions. I'd be happy to help you set up a merchant account, help you set up all the systems you need to make sure that your business is not caught off guard again. Now, if you like this episode, or if you want me to do any follow-up episodes and you have specific questions, feel free to let me know. Send me an email, write me some comments. Don't forget to press that like button, and please subscribe to my channel for more amazing content on how to convert more sales and make more money in your online store. Have yourself a great day.